Here we are, episode number 3 of Inside the Parlor. I'm Corey Santasteven, coming at you from my garage. My friend Aaron Vickery, also known as FASM, is here with us today. Loud colors, dope designs, FASM's work is incredible. Whether building his own brand, FASM Creative, or getting commissioned to paint giant murals for others, FASM really loves what he does. He is super passionate about showcasing the beauty and the art of graffiti culture and has been able to bring that zeal to his city of Modesto, California and throughout other parts of the world. FASM will tell us how he got introduced to the world of graffiti, share some highlights and challenges that have happened to him along the way, and we'll see if we can get him to share that story when graffiti introduced him to the backseat of a cop car. Welcome to Inside the Parlor. Aaron, what's up, man?
What's up, dude?
So, welcome to Inside the Parlor. Come on in, grab a seat. We're keeping the same style for FASM's hair, just taking it a little shorter on the sides and trimming the top a bit, but still leaving it pretty disconnected. For styling, we'll combine product, braiding, and heat to bring some volume and texture to his hair. You're out of Modesto.
Yeah, born and raised in Modesto.
Nice. It's different out there in Central Valley, right?
Totally. Yeah. I'm sure you get it too. It's like you're in an airport or something and somebody says, "Oh, you're from California. Okay, yeah. You live on the beach," and you know.
I've been able to see some of the work that you've done. What's your official title? When people ask, like, "So Aaron, what do you do?" Like, what do you tell them?
Well, usually I'll tell people that I do murals and that I do branding.
Okay.
And so I guess, I do murals, but they're all spray paint, and I'm, a graffiti artist that does art for pay.
Right.
And then with the branding, I do logo design on computer, and then just have gotten more into the whole branding side of things as far as like how to use a logo and color and things like that to present a company the way that they want to be like seen by the by their market.
Yeah, definitely. You do art because it's a passion. You love it. You love doing it, and of course you need to eat. Mm-hmm. You provide for your family and all that stuff. Is it hard sometimes where like you're working on a project when you're not inspired and it's straight up like this is work. This is, do you kind of get in that mindset where it's like, oh man, I don't really want to do this, but
yeah, definitely, and the whole thing of exactly being an artist and having ideas of your own that you want to like do, and yet somebody comes up and says, "Hey, I'll pay you to do this mural. I need it this week," and you have to make that decision of like, okay, I need to do that to get paid, but I'd rather be working on this other project.
Right.
And I think it's, I look back on my life and think, man, did I do too much stuff for pay and did I not pursue the things I wanted to pursue? And it's always shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Right.
Yeah.
I was talking with a buddy about like this whole like concept of a time machine. It's like, oh, would you use it? And like, no, because you go through what you go through, and you can't take that away. But there's definitely some things in my life where it's like it was just not a fruitful time.
Yeah. Or I took that job and it was miserable. Why did I do that?
Right. It's all part of that journey. It's all kind of that lesson learned.
Yeah.
Now, with how did you start out doing art and doing murals?
Well, I've always been drawing ever since I can remember.
Okay.
And then in high school, I got into graffiti. At first, just tagging, doing illegal stuff.
Yeah.
And then seeing the book Spray Can Art and Subway Art, just was like super inspiring, and just realizing that this, I can take, the stuff that I've been doing my whole life and grab a spray can and do that like huge and like really make people think about stuff,
Right. You see stuff like on billboards and freeway signs and stuff like that. I mean, there's some risk, right? I mean, because you can fall and you can bust your face open.
Yeah, or you can get, arrested.
Yeah. Have the cops chasing you?
Yeah.
That ever happened with you?
Yeah. I've been arrested for it back in my younger days, my high school days.
Yeah.
got that removed off my record once I turned 18.
So what happens when, I mean, because they catch you. They're like, hey, you shouldn't have been drawing on that building.
Mm-hmm.
And, they take you downtown and put you in the slammer and all that kind of stuff. And
well, I just got arrested and, stuck in the back of a cop car, and then my parents picked me up, and it was like the pickup of shame or something.
Now, did they know that you were tagging?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was pretty dumb. I was hanging out with two guys just doing tagging in broad daylight.
Yeah.
I remember, I painted a billboard in Seattle once. I was staying with my brother for the summer and climbed up and painted on a billboard, and that was a rush. It was right next to an AM PM or something, and I remember a cop car pulling in, and I just laid down on the ledge of the billboard and literally had to wait for him to go into the shop, buy whatever he was buying, and just sweating bullets until he left, and then got down and left.
Totally. And you're talking about the kind of illegal scene. How is that trying to transition from doing illegal to working and getting paid to getting paid gigs? Is it almost is it kind of frowned upon where it's almost oh, you sold out type bill, or is it just no, that's not there?
There's different thoughts on that. Mm-hmm. There's I think for the most part, graffiti artists understand that, hey, this guy's trying to make money. A lot of graffiti artists will end up being airbrush artists or tattoo artists or graphic designers. But there's a few that are just really don't like people making money off of graffiti. Yeah. And I can kind of see their point. This is something that they do that is a passion of theirs, and they do it for themselves solely. Right. And to give that, to exchange that for some money, just doesn't feel right to them.
Yeah. When did you start working for and doing more paid gigs and kind of moving from that, I guess, illegal scene, kind of just focusing more on the craft and the art of it and doing it the legal way?
Yeah. It was kind of always morphing that direction, even from when I was, in 1991, I started tagging. 96, I had a really big transitional point in my life, and that was definitely at that point I switched and just only did legal. But even before that, I was definitely getting more interested in elaborate, big productions and stuff like that.
You have a crew of people you roll around with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and how is that? Because think about it. Is there interviews that how is that whole setup where you'll get picked up by a crew?
Our crew, Gospel Graffiti, is different in that we do actually have kind of an application process, and we definitely do want to get to know the person first, and
sure.
Being the gospel or Christian aspect to it, we do actually require a letter from a pastor that would see them. I mean, we're so split up too. It's we've got members in Holland, we've got members in Canada, and it's nice when they're in clusters like that because they can kind of keep each other accountable and see where everybody's at, what they're doing, and all that stuff, and encourage them and stuff like that. But cool. We do have a couple guys that are on their own, one in Chicago, one in Hawaii, and the only time that we really see them is in August, which is our annual event that we do, where we spend a week painting big murals, and usually there's a day of service that will either work with a nonprofit that's handing out food to hungry people, and
sure, something
that's just totally not graffiti, just get out of our element and work together in a positive thing,
Yeah. No, totally. And I think it's one of those mediums that you're able to almost use to get in to certain arenas. Because I imagine there's a lot of youth, even in that Modesto area, where it's cool to do that, or you're seeing people that oh, my friends are doing this, so I'm going to get for doing this. So it's almost being able to see that you can have such a huge impact on, the younger guys doing it.
Yeah.
And kind of coming along and having them kind of see like, look, this is what we do, and I mean, it's cool to express yourself and doing something that you love to do.
Yeah, and actually, like the last 2 years, I started hosting these like graffiti battles, where I'm inviting people to come out and have a DJ play all day, and there's like a sense of competition where people are like trying their best to like win, or they're like watching people that are well known in the graffiti culture go head to head, and they're encouraged by that. And that whole thing was really started by this pinched nerve in my arm. And I started having problems with my arm. It was hurting. Eventually it was like to the point where I was turning down mural jobs. I was doing less graphic design, and so I really it was really depressing, and it really made me start to think really depressing thoughts, like, okay, well maybe this is it. Maybe this is the last hurrah. Like, I'm not really going to be doing artwork, and for me that's like the ultimate stab to the chest. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like,
totally.
oh, that's like that's my identity.
Right.
Like that's everything about me. Not only is it how I provide for my family and keep a roof over our head, but it's like my passion is all wrapped up in this right arm of mine.
Yeah.
And so when that happened, when I had these kind of like downer thoughts, it's like the good thing that came out of it was the thought of, well, if I can't be doing art and I can't be progressing, and maybe maybe I need to be focusing on other people, and like maybe I can encourage them. So that's when I came up with the idea. There's this guy Estrella who had like it was called the Estrella Invitational, and it was like this battle that like a lot of well-known graffiti artists knew about and went to and participated in. And I thought, dude, it'd be super cool to do something like that in Modesto, and because Modesto's it's always an underdog city. You always hear bad stuff about Modesto.
Sure.
And living there, it's not like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's bad stuff, and there's problems that are like, they seem like they'll never go away, but there's some really good stuff in Modesto too.
Sure.
But I noticed a lot of the graffiti artists, it seems like they don't paint much in Modesto. And yeah, it's a lack of opportunity, but I think they kind of give up on it too. It's like, and the problem with that is if the guys that are good at graffiti that live in Modesto aren't painting there, they're not really encouraging like the younger guys like to push themselves and to grow in that art form. And so that's why I wanted to do the graffiti battles in Modesto. And even if I'm bringing like talented guys from outside, and also guys from Modesto as well, super talented guys there. I want to like create that just inspiration inside of Modesto for like younger guys, and maybe some of the guys that just aren't encouraged to like do much there in Modesto to do more.
One of my buddies who does film, that's kind of one of the things. Growing up in Gilroy, it's hard doing film in Gilroy.
Yeah,
you might need to move to a different area. But that's
hard.
That
was always a thought growing up. Like, do I need to get out of here if I really want to take my art seriously?
Right.
And I never did. I had a family early, and yeah.
Now you have you're telling me you have an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Because you were pretty young when you had him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, super young.
So how does that? I mean, trying to be a young parent, and I mean, life is already kind of hard. Being a teenager, and then to change up the mix, and then now your parents. How old were you when he was born?
I was 20.
Okay, so I mean, you were out of high school. And stuff. And was it just kind of like at a point in a time where you just like you didn't really have direction, or did you kind of have an idea of where you wanted to go, and like where were you thinking back in life?
No, I think back then I was thinking, I will magically become this famous artist in New York and just be super famous.
Yeah.
And that would just fall in my lap somehow. Most people can do what they love and make a living at it. Like, it really sucks to hear parents go like, okay, you want to be an artist? No, let's be thinking about you being a doctor and you can paint some paintings on like Saturday nights, like that's the worst thing. Like, I don't think people should make career decisions based on, like money.
As parents, we want our kids to be successful, however that looks. I don't want to just deem it like, oh, success is making a ton of money and have a house with a white picket fence. But them doing something that they love, that they enjoy doing. Is that
definitely
is definitely that hope. I think you hear like a lot of stories of people who are just like, oh, I'm just working. Well, what did you? If you could, and I kind of got on this gig when I started looking into getting into hair. Was I was asking people, if you could do anything, what would you do, and why did you get into what you got into? And there's a lot of answers where it's just like, oh, I just went to college and this is just kind of something that I fell into. I knew the money was good, and so what if I can do this? And some of the things are not really too outlandish. I've talked to people who are like, oh, I would be some kind of like sports broadcaster, and it's like, that's awesome that you find passion in that. How come you never pursued that? And there's almost like, well, I don't know if there's going to be money in there. And do you see that amongst people from, the community, whether it be youth or whether it be folks that are a little bit older who just kind of crash their dreams and just like, oh no, I'm putting this on the back burner?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like, like I was saying, there's people who, I've seen different artists start the old sketch, once a day for a year routine, and then it'd be good for me to do that, just to keep at it,
Totally.
Well, and with social media too, it's like it is so easy to have your work or your passion seen. I remember, being in Modesto, and like I said, subway art was a big inspiration, and seeing freight trains roll through with Lady Pink on it, who was this like famous female graffiti artist from New York, and it was like, wait a minute, this is like a mobile canvas, what I mean? Like, this could be seen all over the U.S.
Yeah.
And to think that nowadays, social media is like so much better than like a freight train, because it's like worldwide. And back then it was like, oh, this is like the only way I could get like people to see my artwork, unless I was like in a magazine or something like that.
Right. There have been people that you've been able to kind of connect with and be like, oh man, this person across the stage or whatever, and be able to actually kind of build a friendship and
all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah. I mean, that's how gospel graffiti got started. It was 1996 when me and Snow started it, and then that was here in San Jose. And then soon after, a couple of years after, I got gospelgraffiti.com, and I put a forum on that website, and just all the time meeting guys that were like, oh my gosh, I Googled Christian graffiti and found you, and like I thought that I was the only one over here in Poland or whatever, that did graffiti and was a Christian, and some of them were doing illegal stuff, some of them were doing all legal, but it was encouraging for both, and just kept meeting people, and it was cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's really cool. And being able to kind of be in that group and around like-minded people, it's inspiring.
It is.
Definitely seeing that, and there's been a good amount of people from the hair industry that I've been able to surround myself around, and just being able to be so inspired by what they were doing, and have their skills kind of check mine and be like, man, I'm not envying them. I don't want to, I don't want to be just like them, but it's like, I love being around them because it causes you to get better. It causes you to stretch yourself. Because you can get, just with anything, I feel like you can get kind of in that mode of, oh man, this is what I'm doing. This is how I've always done it. And just kind of
autopilot.
Yeah, definitely going in that. And graffiti, does that allow for you to be able to do some traveling, and with these connections that you have in other places, have you been able to do that and kind of get around and be able to see what graffiti is like in other states and around the area? Or have you...
Yeah, like me, I've done murals in like over 10 states, and
Okay.
so like you know, people will commission me from either a church or like some youth event or something like that. And then with Gospel Graffiti, we get together every August, and usually that's in like a big city. We've done San Francisco, LA. Last year we did Chicago and St. Louis. The year before that we did Oahu. And so that's definitely, you know, some travel there. But yeah, definitely, you know, the social media shrinks the world so much.
Mm-hmm.
And then the traveling and just like the whole culture of graffiti, you know, it's fun. It's fun getting to meet different people and realizing that everybody is so different, but yet so the same.
Kind of brought a little bit of texture in the hair, kind of give you some of those beachy wave type feel. California people let you know. Doesn't matter if you're from Modesto or down from the beach. Let the viewers know, how can they follow you? Because they follow you on Instagram, you do Facebook and all that stuff?
Yeah, pretty much everything.
Okay.
Instagram is FASM Creative.
Okay.
Facebook page is FASM Creative. Yeah.
Awesome. And then there's a website too, right?
Yeah, FASM.net.
Okay, awesome. Well, cool. Appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed your time inside the parlor. You can subscribe and hit the like button on YouTube, or you can go ahead and leave a generous amount of stars and a review if you're listening to the podcast. We can connect on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Inside the Parlor. More content and appointment for hair services can be found at InsideTheParlor.com. Thank you so much for tuning in.